All right, Steve. First of all, when you were approached to become the Auckland FC manager, could you, in your wildest dreams, have imagined there were 2 games to go? You know, you'd be on the verge of winning the Premiership and securing one of those semi-final spaces.
Obviously at the start, you probably, if someone asked me, we'd be in this position now, probably I would have jumped at it. So, but when we first put the team together, the staff together, it was a long way off of where obviously we are today. But obviously everything's worked out perfectly. We've got the right staff in first and foremost. The players obviously are most important as well. It looks like we've got them right as well. We've got the right blend of players as well with the foreigners and the Kiwi boys and the Aussie boys. So very pleased to be here at this stage of the season. A lot of people probably would never have thought this would be happening. Bill's very ambitious, our owner. I'm very ambitious as well as a coach to win trophies. And we've got the opportunity this weekend to do it in front of our home fans as well, which is something really special.
Yeah. Did you have a blueprint coming into this, Steve? Like, you seem to have built a team around an imposing defence, good on set pieces, really fit and strong into those last moments of the game. Was that the blueprint coming in, and then you got to find the players, or did you see the players and then kind of adapt to what you had?
Well, we obviously went for the players that would fit our system that I wanted to play. I think we're a bigger team than I expected, because at one stage we weren't that big, and just really the players that we signed towards the end of the squad was, a lot bigger, like Max Matter, Louis Verstrate. They give us a little bit extra height as well, Nando as well. So we weren't a big team when we first started, but I think towards the end and when we got everyone together, that was probably one of our strengths in the end, the set pieces with the big boys causing havoc. But yeah, we sort of fitted players to the system that I wanted to play. We didn't get every player that we wanted. It's quite normal. Some, a lot of foreigners as well that we spoke to. You speak to them about a new club. There's no history behind this club when we first started. So it's a little bit hard to say, yeah, we're going to win the league in the first year when, we have never played or never kicked a football before. So we didn't even have footballs at the start when we first began. So, So it's obviously things work out for a reason, and we got the players that we did in the end, and they've obviously done a fantastic job up until now.
It is the combination, and a lot of A-League kind of pundit specialists, they say you've got to get your foreigners right. It seemed really obvious that we have got our foreigners right. And I'm going to ask you a question, like, who's been your favourite signing, or is it a bit like with your children and you can't have a favourite?
Exactly like your children. You can't say that. But I think you're right. I think the foreigners are very important. What I've found in the A-League, I think if you get them right, it helps the team. Obviously, I think we got a really good bunch of Kiwi boys, and, we've only got a few Australians in this squad, but the Australian boys that we brought in are players that have won trophies before. I think we needed to have them kind of players that have won trophies before in the A-League as well. Dan Hall, Brimmer, Scotty Galloway, even though he hasn't played much this season. Obviously, Marley was a little bit of a late ring-in once Joey left. But I think a lot of the Kiwi boys also have surprised a lot of people, I think, because in Australia, they wouldn't know them. We got Francis from eastern suburbs, from the local leagues. There's a few players from that, Cam Howison. I think they've all stood up and really done a wonderful job for us this season as well. So I think all in all, I think all of them have really gelled nicely from the start. I think they've made the foreigners fit in very easily as well, and that's real credit to them Kiwi boys as well.
Mm-hmm. And one of the other secrets seems to be the fitness that I touched on. We hear all this stuff, that the information sharing with Bournemouth, of course.
Yeah.
Are our players as fit as Premier League players then? Is that what we're saying?
Oh, no, I don't know about that. Obviously, different league. They're machines over there. I think our players are very fit for the A-League. I think it shows that we finish stronger than other teams. Elias Bukaram is doing a fantastic job on the physical side of things. The boys just work hard at training. When we do conditioning days, we did it today. The boys come off exhausted. They've worked hard. It's probably a 10 out of 10 for a training session. So, but overall, we build them up to get to that period. And, I think it shows in a lot of the games that we are stronger and fitter, but also it's the mentality as well that, they've done the hard work in training, that they know they can push themselves in games, that go to that extra level because they've done it at training.
Yeah. So bringing it right up to date, a victory against Melbourne Victory last week.
Yeah.
We know it's kind of like all but mathematically there for the Premiership.
Yep.
What was it like this weekend? First of all, what did you tell the lads before the game? I mean, because it was such a big game, and we've been on the back of a number of draws.
Yeah.
What did you tell the lads in the dressing room?
Yeah, it was. I think they all realised, Wanderers did us a favour the week before with Western United, obviously beating them. We thought they might do us another favour this week with Melbourne City, which in the end, they got a draw out of it and almost won the game. But for us, it was about taking care of our own business, and that was Melbourne Victory. And they had a very good home record. They've only lost once before. So, I sort of use that as motivation for our players as well. But also, the draws, I know a lot of people say we've picked up a lot of draws. For me, I see that, it's not a negative for me. It shows that we're a hard team to beat. We've gone 12 or 13 games now unbeaten. A lot of teams will probably lose a couple of them games that we had draws, and we showed great character. The Sydney game especially, I think we showed 2-0 down that we come back, fought back and got back into the game. We drew the game, but really should have won that game. We're probably disappointed that we didn't. The Melbourne Victory game was obviously the big one as well for us, because we knew what that could happen once we get that job done, and that's the most important thing, is just getting about 3 points. So we worked hard like normal. We kept a clean sheet, real positive, and obviously I think Louis Verstraete was one of the boys that obviously scored the goal, but also created the second goal as well to finish Melbourne Victory off. And, that was fantastic for us.
Yeah, it was a big performance that was needed and a big result. And so you and the team, you're obviously watching the Melbourne City game later in that evening, where it could have pushed you over the points needed for the Premier Plate. Well, did you all sit around and watch the game, or was there a kind of what was the mood that evening?
Yeah, no. So we finished our game. We went back to the hotel. We were having dinner. And after dinner, everyone just hung around. We had it on a big screen, the game, watched the game together. There was a lot of ups and downs, obviously, through the game. But I think the moment that stood out really was when we thought Western Sydney had scored the winner. Everyone erupted. Everyone jumped off their seat. We were hugging and cheering. And then, unfortunately, the referee said it was offside. So we had to sit back down and be a little bit more humble, and we'll have to wait another week. But I think there's no better way than clinching a premiership plate in front of our home fans. I think, if you could have wrote the script, that would probably be the way we would like it to be done, because, they've been sensational throughout the course of the season. They've grown. The port, the just general public have got right behind us from the moment we've moved here and set up the team, even though it's been 17 years since there's been a club from Auckland in the A-League. And I think it's a fitting way, if we can get the job obviously done this weekend. It'd be great for everyone to hold up the premiership plate at home in front of our home fans.
Yeah, well, I think you've absolutely nailed it. I think as a fan, to be selfish, I'd prefer to be there and watch it happen as well. So in many ways, it wasn't too bad. Not much more needed now. Probably not. You don't need to do much this week to motivate the lads to get that point or 3 points that we need on the weekend.
Yeah, well, Melbourne City play on Saturday night. We're hoping, if they drop points, well, then it's all over anyway. But we know what we have to do. It's not like we're going into the game. We don't want to lose the game. Obviously, Perth beat us over there, so that's obviously motivation for us enough, I think, to we want to beat every team, and this is an opportunity to beat Perth, and there's obviously a big premiership plate at the end of it if we do, or even a draw. But we're going out to, like we normally do, to focus on our game. We want to win the game, and obviously finish strongly the A-League season and with wins, I suppose, and going into the finals full of confidence.
Yeah, well, that was my next question, Steve. So, assuming we're in the finals, there's this away game against Western. First of all, would you look at rotating a bit against Western and dropping or resting any players? And then, secondly, what is the game approach going into that double-header home and away?
Yeah, the Western game. No, I'll go with the strongest squad probably available. I'd say because only the fact that we have a week off after that. So if I don't play our main players, then they won't play for like 3 weeks, which is not good for us. Momentum, their fitness as well. So, we'll play as strong a team that we can in the Western game. Then we'll have obviously the bye, well, not the bye, but the week off. We'll work hard in that game. We'll probably get the players, probably play an in-house game that weekend. So everybody gets match minutes. So they're all flying for obviously the semi-finals. I think the away leg will be first. So, I'm pretty confident. There's going to be some good teams in the six. We don't know who we're going to play, but I think our home and away record is exactly the same. We've picked up 25 points home and away at the moment. So, for me, that's a good sign that we're good away from home as we are at home.
I was going to say, I don't know whether you even need to take a more conservative approach to the away leg. Some of the commentators the other night were saying that the thing about Auckland FC is this defence is just impenetrable, whether they're home or away, and that's the foundations for everything. So would you see a different mindset for the away semi than the home semi?
No, not really. Like we're going to win the away, semi as well. That's our mindset to go and win there. I think you have to go in with that mentality to win both games. I think we're confident enough that we can do that. If we end up in a draw, it wouldn't be a bad thing either. But I think, if we're going in with the mindset to get a draw, it's not good sometimes, just to try and hold on to that. I think we're a good enough team. We've showed that we can beat any team, especially away from home and at home. So you have to go in with that mentality that we're going to win both games and get into the final.
All right, that's good, strong, positive mentality. Sydney FC, tell me a bit about Sydney FC. Obviously, we know you spent a long time there as a player and coach. How is it for you going back a couple of weeks ago, sitting in the away dugout for the first time against Sydney FC?
That was very weird, I think, leading up to that, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Obviously, I felt a little bit funny going to the stadium on the away side. But the moment the whistle blew, you switch onto football mode and to concentrate on our team and what we can do and how we can win the game. And obviously we started very slowly in the game and we went two goals behind. But again, like I said, boys showed great character, belief as well that they can get back into that game. And like we said, we're probably disappointed we didn't end up winning that game. But it was a bit weird going back, but I'm glad it's over and done with now.
Yeah. Did you this is another question a bit off the way there, but when you left Sydney FC, did you kind of feel in yourself that you'd ever have a chance to come back and coach at the, that very top level and coach another team to A-League glory? Was that always in your mind, or is this kind of surprised you, Auckland FC?
Well, Auckland did, because obviously I think everyone has ambitions to coach overseas. I think that's, one of mine as well. And, when you finish at one club that you've been at for a long time, it probably was a good option to go overseas if something come up. But obviously the Auckland gig come up pretty quickly after I finished at Sydney. It was a good challenge for me. It was probably something I needed, because I didn't, I've been at Sydney for 19 years. So for me to go to another club just from the A-League, it would be very difficult for me as a person, to Melbourne Victory or whoever, didn't matter who. I've had so much passion for Sydney for 19 years. I think to come to Auckland is different because it's a new club starting up, start fresh. There's no ties to the A-League and no ties to Sydney FC. So, and also speaking to Bill Foley, he's a very ambitious man, and, he wants the club to do really well and wants to win trophies. And, I think, I like that from an owner, really positive and ambitious. And because I'm ambitious as a coach also, I don't I don't like going into a season, not thinking that we're going to win anything. At Sydney, there's always pressure on to win trophies. I think, I've won plenty of trophies as a player, assistant coach, and as a coach at Sydney FC. And, now it was a different challenge for me to start up a new team with Terry McFlynn and see how we went. And I think so far it's been very positive, and we've got our first opportunity, like we said, to actually win a trophy. First New Zealand team also to do that is something special as well.
Yeah, well, is the irony not lost on you that you could become the first Australian with
Yes.
the first New Zealand team to win a trophy in an Australian league?
Correct. Yeah.
That's the one.
A lot of hard work's gone into it from the players and staff as well. So obviously, I'm pleased to have a playing group, the ones that we have, and obviously fantastic backup staff as well, doing a great job.
Yeah, just before we leave the Sydney FC thing, and this is about the game actually, and one of the things I noted was you threw Tommy Smith on to play as a striker in the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
What was you thinking? We felt like we hadn't seen that in football for a while, the big centre half coming on last time. What was you thinking?
Yeah, well, thinking is normally we have Max Matter, so he gives us that aerial ability and that big boy up front to hold the ball up and to challenge for crosses. We knock a lot of balls into the box out the style of football that we play. So I thought Tommy would give us that little bit of aerial ability that we were looking for. We were really pushing for the win. And we know Tommy can cause havoc. He's a very strong boy and good in the air as well. So we thought that might be the way to go. And obviously Guillermo and the other players sort of running on Tommy and for little flicks and stuff like that. So we thought we'd give it a go.
I thought he made some quite decent runs, actually.
He did, actually. He did make some good runs, but also he put himself about and, won balls in the air, which was what we were looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, a bit more general now. Look, there are many different types of football managers in professional football. We've got the motivating managers, the ballers who yell at the players, the managers that change a game on a whim, those that stick to their knitting. They're a bit more about process. They know what works and won't change it. Where would you place yourself in that kind of area, Steve?
I think I'd like to stick to what I know works, but I would say probably that something I learned from Sydney, being there for so long, that you do have to change as well, I think, a little bit, and I learned that. And I think, as you can see, we played a different system last week against Melbourne Victory. We had played that system before, but normally we've been using it as a second half, bring Tommy on sometimes and to sort of defend our way through the game. But I see that as a real positive, that system as well, that we get our wing backs going forward. So I think, we played that at the start of the game last time, when normally we've been using it in the second half, and it's been working extremely well. So I've been a little bit more flexible, I think, since I've been here in Auckland and changed a few things. But, you must know your players and know exactly what works for them. If I have to give them a bit of a rev up, I will. And there's been times during the season, not many, but a few times during the season that, I had to raise my voice a little bit. When I raise my voice, a little bit of swearing comes out as well. So, but, all in all, they've been, pretty good. So yeah, you just got to know the players and what, they need at the time, I think.
Yeah, and they seem pretty flexible and adaptable, your players. I mean, Francis de Vries obviously being pushed up to actually play as a left winger we really enjoyed watching that, because he's such a beautiful crosser of the ball. And
he's fantastic crosser.
Attacker, Yeah,
definitely one of our strengths, with Francis getting a little bit higher as well, knocking balls into the box. But he can also do that from the fullback. When we play back four, we want him to get forward as much as possible, because he does have that strength in quality crosses into the box.
Yeah, great. You mentioned it a little bit before, but it's a cliche to say that a crowd is a 12th man in a sporting environment. But what are the players and your coaching staff's opinions on the way Aucklanders have taken to this football club? Just so quickly and emphatically.
Well, it's been amazing. Obviously, we started the season with a massive crowd against Brisbane. I think we had the Sydney game after that. We had a very good crowd, and then the derby, and that was sold out. Obviously, the first one was away, but then we had the home derby not long after, which was sold out crowd. They've been amazing. I think it shows, we scored a lot of goals down that end where the port is, and a lot of late goals towards that end. So it is like the 12th man, but they sort of draw the ball into the goal. I think players really love scoring down that end because, they're right in front of the port. But it's not just the port. That's definitely grown as well. The port is they're loud. They sing all the time during the game and make a lot of noise and make it a real great atmosphere to play in. But it's just the general public, I think, as well, have, just when you're walking down the street, people pull us over and, they say how proud they are of what we're doing as well for the city. So, when you hear that, and a lot of these people that are saying that are rugby union or rugby league fans as well. So, you think you're doing something right if that's the case.
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of something for everyone at Mount Smart, which has been really lovely to see.
It is.
The other thing we've noticed this year, Steve, is your fashion sense. Strutting up and down the pitch there. You seem to have quite an outfit these days. The bright white sneakers, the dark suit, and the kind of ring t-shirt. Is that your thing these days, or have you always sort of rocked this look?
Well, at Sydney, I had a little bit. I had a black suit with white shirt and black tie, so I was a little bit more formal, I think, at Sydney. But I think Auckland's pretty casual, and I think Crane Brothers actually looked after me with the suits. So Murray has been fantastic to send me to wear his suits. So. Yeah, I like that, a little bit more casual look with the t-shirt and the joggers. So
middle-aged. You're rocking the middle-aged man thing. Really
yeah,
well.
exactly. Yeah.
Great stuff. All right, Steve. Before you go, everyone on the podcast has to usually do a prediction for the next game. Prediction for Sunday at home against Perth.
Oh, I'd like to keep a clean sheet, so I'm going to have to say 2-0.
2-0, easy, and we'll be lifting the Premier plate, I guess, if that happens.
Definitely, yeah. I'm predicting maybe City might slip up on Saturday night, so I think it could be done by the time we even play.
Would you prefer that?
I think it just there is less pressure, I think, on the players, but either way, it doesn't matter. Like you said, there's a lot for City to do still, the amount of goals that they have to catch up, and that's, providing that we lose both games. And I think I've got full confidence that that's not going to happen, and, we'll get the job done on Sunday at Go Media.